to my blog. Welcome back to my mini series on how to paint a car. In this episode, I think we can call this the fourth and final episode because I'm going to tie up all loose ends. I'm going to show you how to apply the 2-pack paint after we've rubbed down the primer. This video series has only been made possible with the help of Chris Cadle from Outline Displays, who helped me build this amazing vintage style tube neon sign. And Chris Cadle's contact details are in the video description if you'd like to go and have a chat to him about having your own sign built. Hope you enjoy the video. I'm going to do a quick overview of how I'm going to prep this primer ready for the paint. I did do a really good video on this, going into all the different processes that I do. I'll stick a link in the video description to that video so that you can go and watch it so you can see all those processes in greater detail. But just to give you a quick overview, I'm going to use my block again with dust extraction and a 240 grit strip. And when I'm rubbing down, what I do is I usually use circular motions, so I use circular motions to sand down. The reason I don't go in straight lines is because of tram lining. If I do it in straight lines, I'll show you what I mean. So if I just do a straight line, you can instantly see that this line is appearing here where the edge of the block is digging in. So it'll dig in, it'll leave 2 tram lines like that. If you rub the whole panel down like that, when you paint it afterwards, the whole thing will look like a load of tram lines going in different directions. So what I do is I do circular motions. For people that are going to say you shouldn't sand in circular motions, then you probably need to have a chat to your random orbital sander that's doing circular motions as well, because they always sand going round and round and round as well, don't they? So never had a problem doing it circular myself. The other way I'll do it is kind of like a cross-hatch style. So what I'll do is I'll use the block, I'll go with that direction, across like that, and then I'll go the other way. And by doing that, the one cancels out the other. So any sort of harsh lines you get going in that direction will be cancelled out by the other ones going in this direction. And then I'll do like a combination. I'll just sort of do a bit of circular, and I usually do my filler work, if it's a big expansive filler work, in a very similar fashion. And this means that you get everything nice and flat and evenly flat, and also without these sort of funny lines going on afterwards. So that's the 240. What I'll do when I've got it all done, back down, I've got rid of all the guide coat with the 240 and I'm happy. What I'll then change to is a 320, I'll re-guide coat, or 320 all down with the block. Then if I want to continue with the dry sanding process, I use a DA with a soft interface pad and a 500 grit disc. Again, re-guide coat, go over, get rid of all the guide coat. Now that would actually probably be good enough then to put the paint straight on, but I'll flat it down with 800 wet and dry and give it a good clean off afterwards. My own personal preference is, a lot of people say that you shouldn't use wet sanding because the primer can absorb the water. As far as I'm concerned, this is an old wives' tale, and I've been in the paint industry for 35 years, and I've worked at places with 10 painters painting a couple of jobs each day, wet flatting the cars. None of them have ever had a problem. I would have thought if it was a big enough problem to warrant not using it, I would have thought I would have come across a problem incurred by wet flatting. So that's my view on it anyway. Other people say other things, but we all have our own opinion, don't we? I've done the 240 and the 320 on the block. Like I said, normally what I'd probably do if this was a flatter surface is I would DA it down with a 500 with a soft interface pad on the DA. I'm not going to do it on this because it's basically a very shallow panel. There's loads of edges, it's all full of holes, What I'm going to do is, if I try and DA this off, I'll probably just go through on the holes and the edges. It's just too much to negotiate. I have blocked this down to 320, so it's quite smooth. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is just wet and dry it next. I'm going to use 800 wet and dry. All these processes have all been about taking some ink that was nearly perfect and making it look more perfect. The more sort of stages you go through and the more refinements you go through, the flatter you will make that piece of steel. So basically we're using the primers as well as a, you know, as a filler. So because we're blocking it down where we got a low spot, that low spot will get higher and higher and higher as we take the high spots down, and they'll even themselves out through the sanding process. We started off quite coarse. We started off with the coarse bare steel, 180 grit, then we put the epoxy on, then we sanded it down, we're sanding it down, we're getting it flatter, we're going down the grades, and then we've gone to the 2K. So we've got the 2K primer on, we've hit it straight away with 240. The 240's done, you see, is it's actually sharp enough to cut through the primer to get it even flatter again. And then we've got the grades till we've got to 800. So that's all finished. Let's check the reflection in the strip lights. Real handy tool if you've got strip lights in your workshop. See the strip light? You can just see that the panel has got a very slight crown to it, which is exactly what I wanted. That looks pretty good that way. So I'll turn the panel around. That's going to look really good, isn't it? That's going to look pretty perfect. I'm going to paint it all white. So I've got some gloss white, 2K gloss white, paint it in that, and that'll be the perfect base then for our distressed sign look. I paid about £10 a litre for this stuff a couple of years ago, off eBay again. You can't go wrong really, can you? Obviously you've got to think about what you're putting it on. I mean, I paid around 75 quid or something per litre for the paint I put on my van, and I used 10 litres of paint. So, you know, when you start racking it up like that, it starts getting very, very expensive. So you sort of horses for courses. Put expensive paint on something that you really want to sort of, you know, make the best of, and you want something that's long lasting, and just put cheap stuff on cheaper jobs, I suppose, or stuff that isn't quite so important. The paint that I'm applying here is direct gloss, i.e. 2-pack paint. So this is a pretty typical 2-pack product. It's a 2 parts paint, 1 part hardener stroke activator, 10 to 20% thinners mix. This is a fairly typical average 2-pack paint. A few bullet points I can give you to applying the paint. It's really hard for me to actually cover all bases, of course, but really looking at getting the insides and the edges painted before the outside. There's a twofold reason for this. First reason really is because you don't want there to be overspray on the outer. So if you paint the inner first, the outer second, you're not going to get that overspray landing on the outer surface. The other reason, which is really overlooked and really, really important, is that it can be very, very easy to miss edges. So if you really concentrate on getting all your edges in first, and then you put a nice coat over the rest of it afterwards, there's more chance of getting a nice finish over everything and not missing those all important edges, which are very, very easily missed, like I said. And it's almost impossible for me to give you a proper painting guide in the course of a 15-minute video. Of course it's absolutely impossible, but I will just sort of talk over some other points at the end of the video. This has been allowed to dry overnight, so this is probably dry enough to actually polish now, as I've used fast activator. And I'm really pleased with the results. Considering this paint only comes in at around £10 a litre, very pleased indeed. Of course, this video was really all about showing the DIY enthusiast that it is possible to paint something and achieve good results on a bit of a budget, really, using budget equipment, of course, and I'm pretty pleased with it. What I'll do in the next video, of course, is I'll go on to show the rust effects. Not quite sure how that's going to turn out yet, but that'll be in the next video. But this video is, of course, been all about showing you how to paint something from start to finish, the epoxy stage, the filler stage, the 2-pack primer stage. Pretty good overview, I think, really, of everything you need to know. Unfortunately, I have been unable to give definitive advice on certain questions that have been posed to me regarding paints, and I'll try and give you a blanket explanation as to why this is, which will hopefully wrap it up without me rambling on for 20 minutes. So a lot of the questions are all about drying times. Well, unfortunately, I don't know what those drying times are, because the drying times are greatly influenced by the temperature that you're painting at, the types of paint you're using, the speed of the hardener stroke activator that you are using. These things are going to determine the drying times. Hopefully that wraps that question up for a lot of people. Also, a lot of people asking me about different types of paint that I've never used before. So I don't want to cross the threshold of giving you what I think's going to happen when I really don't know, and you may end up with a different result to the result that I've told you how it's going to turn out. So I hope you understand what I'm saying there. I can't stress enough how all the different paint manufacturers, they all make paint, so they'll all make a type of direct gloss. So let's just talk about direct gloss for a minute. So one manufacturer's direct gloss is going to behave completely different from another manufacturer's direct gloss. And I'll give you a bit of an explanation. So the DuPont paint that I painted my van in, the characteristic of that is you lay it on and you don't go for a finish too much, because if you go for a finish, the paint ends up running and it's all on the floor because it's got a high flow rate. So there will be 2K products that you put on, so you spray the paint on and it'll look a bit orange peely, let's say. Now that will then flow, so it'll flow out and it'll go quite flat. There's other products that you've got to really go for the finish, so you've got to put it on, and however it goes on is how it stays, because the flow rate is much lower, if you see what I'm saying. The best advice I can give you, if you're unsure about anything, is get a spare panel, order a bit more paint than you want, have a practice. It's the only way you're going to be able to crack this thing about making, you know, a nice finish on something. Practice makes master. There certainly is this spot in paintwork where when somebody's painted something and it's an amateur job, and you can tell it's an amateur job, and the whole point of this sort of mini video series has all been about you turning that corner from where you can tell something's been painted. You look at it and you think, oh, that's tidy enough, but then you look at it and you say, yeah, I can see that's been repaired there. I can see that it's not been done professionally. And the whole point, like I say, of this video series is to try and turn a professional corner on the type of work that you're trying to produce, and hopefully that's come across. I've only shown you the way that I approach it. There are many different approaches to paintwork. People will do different things and get different results. All I'm saying in my videos is I've been honest, and I've shown you all the different processes and the materials I've used, and this is the kind of result you can expect to get from it. It's not going to be the best result in the world, but it's a result that isn't going to break the bank either, and it's still going to look quite professional. The next couple of videos are going to focus on how I turned the white sign, there's a white blank canvas, into this distressed sign using rustypaint.com's amazing rusty paint product, and they very kindly given me a kit to give away to you guys. I'm going to give it away on my Instagram account, so please follow me on Instagram. There is a link in the video description to my Instagram link. Click on that link, follow me on Instagram. I will be giving that kit away. I will be giving a couple of things away actually, and yeah, follow me on there. I will play you out with a fantastic Max Stockin, and I will also say, I nearly forgot, Happy New Year to you guys. If you're watching this in July, then I did film this Christmas time. Okay, until next time, I will say bye for now.
Well, I've got a girl with a wrecking machine. When it comes to loving, she's the queen. We love to dance on a Saturday night, and all alone I can hold her tight. She lives on the 20th floor of town. The elevator's broken down, so I'll walk 1, 2, flight 3, flight 4, 5, 6, 7, flight 8, flight more. Upon the 12th, I'm starting to drag. 15th floor, I'm ready to sag. I get to the top and I'm too tired to rock. Well, she calls me up on the telephone. Coming over, honey, 'cause I'm all alone. I said, baby, you're mighty sweet, but I'm in bed with the aching feet. This went on for a couple of days, but I couldn't not stay away. So I walked 1, 2, flight 3, flight 4, 5, 6, 7, flight 8, flight 4. Thank you. From the 12th, I'm starting to drag. 15th floor, I'm ready to sag. I get to the top and I'm too tired to rock. Well, they sent it to Chicago for repairs, so let's fix time and using the stairs. I hope to hurry before it's too late. You know I love my baby too much to wait. All this climbing is getting me down. If I'm a corpse, they've over the rail, so I'll walk 1, 2, flight 3, flight 4, 5, 6, 7, flight 8, flight more. Upon the 12th, I'm starting to drag. 15th floor, I'm ready to sag. I get to the top and I'm too tired to rock. You know I get to the top and I'm
Here's
too
Johnny.
tired to rock. Woo. You know I get to the top and I'm too tired to rock. Baby, do you mind if I could take a little time to tell you I've never been more at home than in the single bed between us two. 'Cause it's you, yes it's you, and no one else will do. No one, no one but you. Lie against the pillow and we can dream of futures together. Sing and dance and laugh with me, you're the one I'll treasure forever. 'Cause it's true, yes it's true, I'm falling for you. Falling, I'm falling for you. And promise me this isn't all a dream. Just one night and then goodbye. Forgive me if I sound absurd, but baby, I just wanna adore you. Never fight, turn off the light, crawl under the covers when we want to. 'Cause it's you, yes it's you, and no one else will do. No one, no one but you, yes it's you, and no one else will do. No one, no one but you.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.